Al- Allah يبارك فيك. Allah يبارك فيك, Si Khalil. It's a big pleasure. I'm glad and delighted to provide this presentation. Actually, it's a presentation that I wanted to do a long time ago because I'm very excited about what is happening in AI, especially in software development and in programming. You know, I'm a programmer by nature, you know, and this is why I'm excited about what is happening now in AI, the transformation of programming, of software engineering as a whole, that can boost productivity, improve code quality, of course, considering also that there are many challenges that we'll talk about today. So today's lecture is going to be kind of awareness about the use of generative AI in coding in general, in software engineering, and the pros, the challenges, and what should be the future of software engineers, what should be the attitude of software engineers to cope with the Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much for inviting me to provide a presentation about the evolution of coding and programming software engineering in the era of the generative AI. So the talk today is about code or be coded, and we'll talk about the challenges that are currently probably facing software engineers about their career, the career future. So I am Anis Koubaa. I'm a full professor at Al Faisal University. I am also a shareholder and co-founder of MAST. Currently, I work on different areas, and mainly generative AI and large language models. Other areas that I work on is also robotics, unmanned aerial systems known as drones, also Internet of Things. Okay, so let's start by this provoking slide. You know, a few days ago, Mark Zuckerberg said that 2025 is going the beginning of the end for programmers. And this is something that I have said probably a couple of months ago when I looked at the trend of generative AI and the evolution of the different frameworks, different tools, and how we are able currently to do a software with minimal human intervention. Of course, it's still difficult to have a full stack software end-to-end, you know, with all different type of quality assurance measures and so on, fully autonomous. But still we are in the beginning of this era, and I think with the exponential growth of large language model generative AI capabilities, we are not very far of having a fully autonomous agents that will do programming from end to end. And this actually triggered the question, or many questions, among them: will AI replace programmers, or maybe changing their roles? What will be the role of software engineers in the future if AI is going to take over many of the tasks that software engineers are doing? So we try to go through the different evolutions that are made in this respect, and we will discuss at the end of this presentation this critical question. So why actually the promotion of AI matters a lot in the industry? You know, of course, most of the software engineers are graduated from university, but when you go to the industry, they don't care about what you have learned. They care about how productive you can be in the company. Because, I mean, most of the software engineers, they share almost the same degree, the same courses. Of course, there are skills that matters also, and if you can mute all the different microphones, please. Okay, and when you go to the industry or industrial companies that work on software development, they care about productivity, okay, over the process. They don't care about how you do that, whether you want to do it manually or whether you want to do it, you know, as a team or individually. They care about how fast you can deliver, how cheap is your solution, and how good is your code. So they care also about quality and performance, okay? So, and AI is actually able to provide production level code much faster than what a human can do. They care about reliability and security. And now AI-driven code, they may reduce error to a great extent also in a very fast way. The speed of deployment, okay? So currently what used to take a couple of months in development, believe it or not, it can take just a couple of hours, just with the use of AI. we can actually shrink down a lot of the hassle that is in the software development lifecycle. And of course, all the software engineers, they have like special courses like software development lifecycle, software requirement. For me, this is going to disappear, not completely disappear, but it's going to dramatically change very soon. Because the time that we usually take to make this software requirement, make these use cases diagrams, UML diagrams, which takes a long time, is going to disappear with the use of AI. And I'm going to show you how. The industry also care about the adaptability of the human resources to the new trends, on how they can leverage the new tools with generative AI to promote their productivity, about the cost efficiency, thinking about innovative software lifecycle. And this is what I mentioned, that what we know as the plan-driven approach or the waterfall models in software engineering, I think is going to disappear, or the concepts are going to change quite soon in the curriculum of software engineering. And one of the roles of the university is actually to try to integrate AI-based development and AI-based coding in their curriculum. I know that there is a lot of reluctance. I even talked about some colleagues how we don't want that the AI will do the work. The students have to learn. This is true. Still, there is a steep learning curve that the students have to do, but they need to adapt their learning into the new trends and the AI integration into the coding lifecycle. So now the big question is AI going to replace software engineers? And why we ask this question? Because now we can see that AI is automating the coding, the debugging, the software design. There are several tools that are emerging like GitHub Copilot, Cursor AI, Windsurf. I don't know whether you have heard about these different tools. Probably the most well-known tool is Copilot, but now Cursor AI is taking a lot of momentum and is probably the most trending software AI-based software development tool, like Windsurf also, CodeGPT. It's basically low-code to no-code platforms that allows you to develop sophisticated programs at production level with minimal efforts and minimal time. So the challenge, which I see it right now, if the engineers are not aware about these changes, not aware about these evolutions, the AI could take over most of the repetitive tasks that they are doing. So they need to shift their focus from this type of repetitive tasks or code writing into more elaborated tasks that we will discuss later on. Now, one question is whether we could just ignore AI, and this is maybe many people would try to do it because they say, okay, this is going to be disruptive, it's going to change my work, especially those that have long, like companies that they have long time of development experience. It's hard for them to change their culture, their programming and working culture. But we cannot just ignore AI. And I always bring this example, which is back in 1986, where the math teacher protested against the calculator in New York. But nowadays we do have calculator. And I can say that AI is going to be pervasive, whether we like it or not, whether we consider it as ethical or not, because there is a big business behind it. And when there is money, there must be user acceptance at the end, because with money, there are a lot of big players like OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, and so on. They are promoting the use of tools. They are spending a lot of money. So it's impossible to say that they are going to drop this because of what we call probably ethical concerns. But ethics are going to be adapted also. And of course, we need to have regulations. We need to have ethical guidelines about how to leverage these tools, because these tools, like any other tool, they can be used for the good or for the bad. But we cannot just, avoid them. We need to have awareness about their usage. We need to know how to adapt them into our ecosystems to make the best of benefit possible. Okay. So the AI has made a lot of impact in software engineering lifecycle. Now, we have seen the emergence of several AI coding assistants, which allow to have low-code and no-code deployments. And I will show you several examples that I've done myself, with almost no personal intervention. It's just a simple type of prompting, and we can get impressive result in almost no time. So what AI can actually do in software development, it can do code generation. And by the way, this slide that you are seeing is basically generated by AI, you know, yes. Okay, I don't know why, but let me share it again. You see it right now, right? You see the slide? Okay. So this slide is about what AI can do, and you know, I just generated this infographic slide using AI. It saved me a lot of time of formatting, of putting all this text together, and you know, it's just a simple prompt. And this is one of the examples that I wanted to show how you can use AI even to make presentations, you know. And this is basically an HTML generated infographics, which I just took it and put it in the slide. And now going back into the content, so we can use AI to generate code. You know, it's not only writing, but it can do refactoring, translating to code from one language to another. For example, if you have a code in HTML, JavaScript, you want to translate it to React, for example, from Python to C, C++, Java, you know, it can do all these kind of different type of translations. It can improve the code quality. This is what we call code scaffolding for web applications. It can automate repetitive coding tasks. It helps dramatically in generating documentation. Documentation is something really important in production level programming, and this is overlooked by many of the software engineers, or they don't even like to do it because it takes time. It's kind of documenting the code, and sometimes it's not easy to document all the different parts of the code. You know, at this time you just need to provide the whole code as a context, and then asking different type of prompts, and this is why prompt engineering is really important to generate an excellent and production level documentation. So it can generate validate documentation, made bug fixing. It can generate documentation according to some HTML formatting, like read the doc, can make ensure the alignment with the implementation to a very high extent. It can help also in providing testing code or testing scripts to automate test use cases, penetration testing, create diverse test data sets. It helps also to do the compliance, analyze the code with regulatory requirements, and reduce the time spent on paperwork. And also, something really very important when you have production level deployments is to care about security and possible cyber defense. So just with simple prompting now, you can ask the AI to write the code to increase security, to block certain ports, to only allow some authorized users. Now everything could be done quite easily and quite quickly. So the role of software engineer is actually to evolve, okay, with these techniques, adapt these techniques, and not to discard them in order, you know, and this is actually very beneficial for software engineers because they will be able to deliver faster and with higher quality code. Of course, there are many challenges that we will talk about, and let me give you an example. This is a code that I've just done today for this presentation. This is Cursor AI, one of the software development frameworks that I do recommend. I just made a prompt here. I would like to make a fast API that receives a user request and return an AI-generated response using OpenAI Python API. Just one sentence. You know what happened with this one sentence? Everything happened. Now I used Claude Sonnet 3.7. This is the best ever large language model for coding, and I will show you the difference with even GPT-4o. Okay, now 3.7, I think it's 1 week or 2 weeks ago that was released. The previous version was 3.5, which is actually impressive, but 3.7 is even more impressive than its predecessor. So now it generated for me the requirement, look, and it generated all these files. I didn't generate any file, you know, I just opened the Cursor AI, I wrote this code, you know, this instruction, this prompt, and I used the agent. Okay, here you can see in the bottom, because there is chatting with the code and generating code with agents. And the agent here, it knows that it will use Python, so it created the requirement. It will use fast API, Unicorn, OpenAI library, Python.env for environment variables, and Pydantic. This is very advanced because and you'll see the difference with OpenAI. So let me just go ahead. So first of all, generating dependencies. The second is generated documentation. Look, this documentation is just generated automatically after the code is generated. Just think about yourself as a software developer, how long you're going to take just to write this requirement and this README file. And we still didn't see the code. Okay, provide you all different things. And this is professional and very standard manner. Fast API response generator. This is how to do the setup, pip install requirement. It's really impressive. And now going, at the end, if you upload your code to GitHub, is going to be automatically formatted. This is one of the packages that they developed, since the release of ChatGPT, even before this development framework. It's called ScaleXI. It has several type of functions and utilities to deal with large language models and fine-tuning of large language models, creating data sets. I've just generated this documentation using a large language model in very quickly, very accurate, and provide all the different type of information that any developer will need. And this is the code. Look at the code. It's really very well structured, and the way that it was done according to highly professional standards. If you are aware about REST API, okay, so here it has applied the Pydantic model, which is one of the latest best practices to provide the response format and the input format. Okay, so it knows that the input, it has a user prompt, these are the different functionalities of the OpenAI model, and the response is just a string. So you can see the code quality here is pretty much excellent. And also it defined environment variables. And this is overlooked by many programmers. They usually hard code sensitive information into the code, but with a large language model like Claude Sonnet 3.7, it was able to know that this is a sensitive information and put it hidden in an environment as an environment variable in a .env file, and here automatically it also imported .env it imported load.env from .env package, and then it was able to extract the required OpenAI key in order to create. Look, it has created an OpenAI client by leveraging the hidden secret key of OpenAI. Now, I've done the same thing with GPT-4o, and I got completely different output. In the beginning, when I did the same prompt, it was actually providing me how I should implement this. It didn't provide me the real implementation. So for GPT-4o, I had to add an additional statement, which is create necessary files. And after that, GPT-4 also created the .env file, the requirement.txt. But you can see the quality of the code is completely different. There is no security measures. It's just the bare minimum that responds to this prompt. And this is the difference with Claude Sonnet. Claude Sonnet usually, and sometimes, it's not really an advantage because sometimes it's try to write plenty of code even for a minimal change, but it's really comprehensive. Look, here it has defined what are the origins that are allowed, even if we allow all the origins, but here it provides you all the boilerplate code, so later on to go directly into production. I didn't need to ask a very extensive prompt or very detailed prompt, but it has made this as kind of the best practices as what want to create a fast API. However, GPT-4o, it also responded correctly, but it used to provide you only the minimal requirement exactly according to your prompt. So if you want to do the same thing with GPT-4o, you need to write a detailed prompt saying, for example, you need to add the middleware, the access, the security measures, production level, you need to express yourself with more details. And this is one of the main differences. This is why everybody considers that Claude Sonnet is the best large language model for coding. And this is the default model in almost all the AI assistant coding platforms. And this is the difference about the code generated of Sonnet 3.7. This is actually 3.7. and GPT-4o. And it contains some mistakes. So one of the mistakes that I've, this is one of the things that I want to talk about. One of the mistakes here is that it uses the old version of OpenAI, because probably GPT-4o was not trained on the newer version of the OpenAI Python API. So this one, if you just run it, you do pip install OpenAI and you run it, it's not going to work. This is the correct declaration of ChatGPT client. It's client.chat.completion.create. And now this comes to the question, should we trust the code generated by AI? Now, of course, here I discovered, because I know in advance how we should write an OpenAI client, but this actually triggered an important point, that we should never trust 100% the code generated by AI. It saves time, but we need to put some time to review the code and make sure that there is no major mistakes. Because in some situations, it may generate you something that could be misleading, that could have legal implications. It's really important to review the code and make sure that everything works. It's just the error is just about a coding error, this is not problematic, but it can go even beyond simple coding errors. So in terms of front-end design, these are some designs that I did generated with Claude. Claude is still the best for generated front-end, and even Claude Sonnet 3.7 was optimized for the quality of front-end generation. This is my personal landing page, which I generated using Claude Sonnet 3.5. It provides me an excellent visualization with just minimal effort. I don't take too much time to make similar things. We're going also to organize the Smart Tile conference in Mast University in collaboration with the Alexo in Tunisia, inshallah, next December, and I do hope that I will see you all during this conference. And this is a landing page that we designed using also, this is Grok 3. I wanted to try Grok 3 design, and this was one of the outcomes. But of course, it requires several iterations, different type of prompt engineering skills in order to come up with this design. Now, I asked one of the designers, one of the best designers that I work with, how long would you take to provide me a similar design like this landing page? It told me, he will require at least 1 week. And this guy is one of the most expert software engineers I know in UX design, because UX design is probably the most challenging task in software development lifecycle, because this is the person who is going to design what people are going to see about your system. And this skill is actually very, very scarce. Now, with the use of large language model, I have minimal need of a UX design, although I'm not a UX designer, but I know how to evaluate an interface. But I'm not a UX designer, but with prompt engineering skills, people are able to generate high quality designs with low efforts. Okay, so I was able to generate the conference tracks with this nice design. Of course, in the beginning, it just gave me a classical design that I didn't like, but later on, I was able to improve it to look more innovative, as you can see it. And I also used it to develop some landing pages for my courses, to provide my slides, my teaching resources in a very easy way for the students. So this is just to show you the capabilities of how large language model generative AI can help you to promote your coding skills. Even if you are not expert, for example, in UX design, but if you can master prompt engineering to guide the large language model to provide you high quality front-end design, this is not very challenging. But of course, what is challenging is the prompt engineering skills. So now this comes to me to talk about what are the key skills for future software engineers. Now, the traditional skills is that they must master the programming language, they must know the syntax, they must know the best practices, they must maybe memorize the syntax, know how to work with Stack Overflow. These are the skills that we look for traditional software engineering. But now I don't look for these type of skills now. I recently recruited some software developers. I didn't look at their education. I didn't look at their grades. I just look at what they can deliver. So I send them a challenge, a programming challenge to do in just 3 days, which usually would take more. And those that were able to provide the best design possible with the best quality of code were recruited. So you can see now even the recruitment in the industry is changing. We don't look at the traditional skills in software engineering. We look at AI-based skills because we care about productivity, we care about quality of code, and we care about efficiency. So the new skills in software engineering are going to be different. They will need to have very strong skills in prompt engineering to be able to craft effective prompts to guide AI toward correct answers and desired outputs. And believe me, not everyone is able to do the same thing. I mean, if we can give coding challenges to multiple software engineers and say, okay, use any kind of large language model, ChatGPT, Grok, or Cloud, or whatever, they will not provide the same quality of software because there is prompt engineering skills that is related to your knowledge about the LLM responses and also to your prior skills on programming and the best practices on programming. This mixture of two skills will allow you actually to leverage the power features of AI in order to drive your code to the next level. And prompt engineering is also about the ability to communicate precisely with AI, chatting with AI systems to drive it to the best possible outcomes. So this is what relates to AI. Also, software engineers need to have excellent critical thinking skills, how to break complex problems into AI solvable components. You know, because AI, sometimes it's able to solve simple problems that do have several steps, like the case that I have presented. But if you want to develop very complicated systems, like with database design, cloud integration, Dockerization, you know, front-end design, back-end design, you cannot give just one task to AI to solve it completely. Although it's possible, I did this, I made a complete full stack with Django and React in one prompt. But, you know, it's going to give you the bare minimum. And this is why, and probably this could be one of the steps, but at the end, you need to know how to decompose your problem into different AI solvable components. Because AI, when you give it a very specific prompt on a very specific problem, is going to provide you an excellent response for that particular problem. But if you give 10 problems at the same time, it's going to provide you a response, but probably it's not optimized for every single problem. So it's going to look at coarse grain or fine grain problem solving. This is really important. You can start by something horizontal, which is coarse grain problem solving, just to build a complete framework or an initial starting point or baseline code. And then you can go step by step. Okay, what is the next step? Now I need to build the database. Okay, so let me brainstorm with the database. I want to create a database like this, contains these different tables, contains these different type of things. So one problem is, for example, about database design. And then you go to the front end. I would like to make a design with these branding colors. You give your prompt engineering skills, and then you have a front end. Then go to the back end. So you need to have this kind of intuition. How should I solve my problem in order to get to the ultimate solutions? وهذا معروف في software engineering is divide and conquer. But divide and conquer in traditional software engineering could be probably different on how we will do it with AI, because AI is going to speed up several of the traditional repetitive tasks. And these things come actually with practice, with having tutorials, training like current one. And with the time, you're going to see that you will see programming from a completely different perspective. Code review is really important because we spend less time to generate code, but we will spend more time in reviewing the code. Because at the end, AI is an assistant, is not a decision maker. So you are the decision maker, you are the accountable person about the code that will be generated by AI, because the code will be generated according to your prompts. So you need to look at the code carefully. You have always a measured skepticism about the code generated by AI. I don't trust it very well, although it works. So I need to debug, optimize, make some, for example, prompting, logging, to make sure that the code works as really as you expected. Because sometimes, if you don't express yourself very well to the AI, it may misinterpret your intention, and it may generate something not 100% your real intention. This is why you need to make sure that what was generated is actually what you actually want to be generated. And this is going, this gap is going to be reduced with the evolution of large language model. Like for example, with Claude Sonnet right now, even people with minimal prompt engineering skills, they are able to develop a good software. But with other languages like Llama or maybe GPT or these non-very specific coding LLMs, you may need to have advanced prompt engineering skills in order to solve these type of problems. Ethical awareness, so people always talk about ethics when they talk about AI, understanding intellectual property, security issues, ethical considerations. Some people, they don't have acceptance of anything related by generative AI. I don't share this opinion because AI will generate something, of course, based on some learning phase, but at the end, it's probabilistic generation. So even AI, if it generates 100 times the same for the same prompt, is going to generate it differently. So I don't think that. And recently, the United States, I think they have made a regulation or guidelines about intellectual property policies with text that is generated with generative AI. So there is some tolerance because intellectual property violation is basically when you take the same text or code of others and you admit that this is your personal code. But with generative AI, actually, it's something generated. Nobody actually owns it. And now, one of the regulations that is made by the US government on intellectual property of generative AI is that every prompt that you are writing right now on ChatGPT or any language model, it's your intellectual property. It's not the ownership of the company selling large language model services. So you can see even the intellectual property now, it has a different perspective. These prompts that I am writing, I own them. Okay, some people now are selling prompts. The platform that we provide to others, it's basically we are selling prompts to perform tasks more efficiently. And also the adaptability. Software engineers must adapt to the new changes, to the current trends. They have to be aware about what's going on at daily basis in the integration of generative AI into the software engineering lifecycle. And okay, so I would summarize these 5 skills into 2 most important skills. The first one is about prompt engineering. Okay, and this means your ability to craft effective instruction to AI and to ensure that AI understands the context and deliver the useful code. The context is very important because if you ask, okay, ChatGPT, fix my code, and it doesn't know your code, so it will not be able to do anything. This is why now in the current integrated AI assistant coding platforms, you are able to add the context of the code that you want the AI to focus on. So it's going to take your code as part of the context, which provide valuable information for the AI, in addition to your query or to the task that you ask AI to do it. And then based on this, it will do the required code generation. So this is crucial because bad prompts, they lead to inefficient or incorrect AI generated code. And good prompt, they usually lead to optimized, secure, and functional AI outputs. And this is why in a recent study that is made, they found out that the recent software that is generated by AI is not accurate and has a lot of software quality issues. This is because software engineers that were using AI that were caring more about code generation than best practices. This is why the second important skill is that you must have the programming concept skills. If you don't have the programming concept skills and use AI, this will lead to having bad quality code generated. So you will generate code, but not necessarily following the best practices. Now, some of the large language model like Claude Sonnet, it has been trained in order to follow the best practices. But some others like ChatGPT, you need to know the conceptual skills and to ask explicitly the large language model to follow these conceptual skills in order to generate high quality code. Because the AI, usually it writes code, but it cannot think about it critically. You must make good instructions about what type of data structures to be used, what is the system design, what is the architecture, how you design, for example, a relational database model, what are the security measures that you want to make in place. Everything has to be done explicitly by the human being so that the AI is able to generate the code according to these best practices. So if you are not explicit enough with the best practices that you want to achieve in the code generated, you may end up by a low quality code or insecure code or inefficient code. Okay, so what happens if you are missing one of these two skills? Without prompt engineering, in this case, you will generate low quality, incorrect, and incomplete code, and you will have a lot of wasted time fixing the output instead of leveraging the AI potential. And if you have good programming prompt engineering skills, but you don't have enough programming conceptual skills, so you will end up by just blindly trust whatever AI generated code, and this is not good at all. Okay, because it may have security vulnerabilities or performance inefficiencies, and maybe AI will not be able to understand the business logic like we do it. So to summarize the challenges of using generative AI in software development, they deal with code quality and reliability. And like here I give some examples. There is a financial institution that used an LLM to generate code for a trading system, and the code compiled well, but it contains subtle logical errors, causing incorrect calculations and potential financial losses. Okay, imagine that you do a financial system with AI, you don't provide correctly, for example, the equations or the business logic. You know, the AI is going, at the end, it might not understand the context, or maybe the context was not sufficiently provided to the AI, and this can lead or yield to a code quality or reliability issues. So the strategy here is to establish a rigorous testing code review process. As a software engineer that you use AI, you need to review your code carefully. Treat AI-generated code as a starting point and implement comprehensive testing pipelines. Another issue that was faced by other companies is the bias and fairness. So an e-commerce company used a large language model to generate product recommendation algorithm, which has exhibited bias according to gender and race. And this is because the large language model was trained with a certain bias. So this will affect the way on how the recommender system will actually behave. And the strategy here is to prioritize the fairness by curating data, maybe fine-tuning the model, adding more diversity, conducting regular fairness audits, and implementing bias detection techniques. Another challenge is about the explainability and the transparency of the code. Maybe several people don't even understand the code that is generated by AI, maybe because they lack sufficient programming skills to understand the code generated. And this happened to a healthcare software company which used an LLM for patient data analysis code, but they struggled to explain how the generated code processed and protected patient data during an audit. Okay, so these are some kind of regulation issues that may arise with people that use AI generated, but they don't understand how this code is generated. So this is why it's important to review the code, to prioritize explainability techniques, to understand the code that is generated. Skill development and adaptation. Okay, and this is something that I have witnessed myself, especially for software companies that have several years of experience. They don't want to change their legacy. They don't want to adapt to the use of the technology, or they adapt very slowly. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, I wrote a LinkedIn post about this type of companies. I mean, if they don't adapt very quickly to the use of AI in their software development pipeline, they may lose the market very quickly. And I had a discussion with some of the companies that we worked with in software development, and when I showed him, you know, the capabilities of AI, the good thing they have dramatically changed their work, and they trained their software engineer to adopt this very quickly, because they have seen the impact on the productivity and the code quality as compared to traditional approach. So if you want now to use AI assistant coding, there are three popular frameworks, which is Cursor AI, Copilot from GitHub, and Windsurf from Codium. So Windsurf recently released a free course with a certificate on deeplearning.ai. So if you are interested to learn about this particular platform for AI-driven development, you can go to deeplearning.ai. It's a free course with a free certificate. Currently, all the engineers that I recruit, the first thing I send to them is this tutorial to take this certificate in advance to be able to use effectively one of these state-of-the-art development framework. And all these framework, they allow you to chat with your code and also to write advanced code using what we call atomic agents. So an agent is not like it will use a simple prompt, it will make a reasoning about your code, check vulnerabilities, identify issues, and then generate the code accordingly. So it's like an expert software developer, these agents. They act as an expert software developer, but they are very fast in checking the code, understanding the context, and acting accordingly. So in this slide, I wanted to summarize the difference between the AI code assistants. So the first one that was released is GitHub Copilot, and in the beginning it was used for code auto-completion. What does it mean, code auto-completion? You start to write some part of the code, it understands the previous code and the next code, and will provide you an auto-completion suggestion. And this is very helpful, especially for those who don't memorize the whole syntax for a certain programming language. It can provide you a very quick alternative to autocomplete your code and saves you a huge amount of time. But then these AI coding assistants, they have evolved to use AI agents to do more advanced and more sophisticated software development and code generating tasks. And among the most two popular framework is Cursor AI and Windsurf. And I remember the first day that someone told me about Cursor, I just watched the video and subscribed immediately because I have seen that this platform really boosted the time I would spend to develop any type of software. So there are different features for tab completion. All of them, they offer tab completion. It has a strong multi-line suggestion with auto import. Windsurf had a dual approach with super complete for context predictions, and GitHub, it has an inline suggestion and also cyclic option. For code generation, Cursor uses Composer, currently it's called agents, to generate entire apps. Okay, so with Cursor, this is, I just use one prompt to generate a full stack React and Django. It made the database, it installed the dependency on my system, either for React, for Django, it's really impressive, the powerful feature of Cursor in code generation. Windsurf also, it can do the same thing with Cascade generates and refactor code in real time. And Copilot also integrated this recently. Copilot chat generate coded chunks. For chat assistants, all of them, they allow you to chat with your code, to discover vulnerabilities, or to do any kind of actions. They are all context aware, so you can add the entire code base or part of the code that you want to focus on. Same thing for Windsurf, it uses Cascade memories to persist project context during code generation. And with GitHub, it reads open files, allow touching specific files. And all of them, they are integrated into, so GitHub, it's just a plugin into VS Code, JetBrains, CLI, and NeoV. However, Cursor AI and Windsurf are both, they are built on top of VS Code. So they took the open source of VS Code and they added their AI layer. So they are now independent. They are not available as plugins, but they are built on top of the VS Code. In terms of pricing, they are very close to each other. So each AI coding assistant provides a free tier with limited capabilities. Cursor AI provides a pro tier at $20, Windsurf $15 per month. Of course, with different type of capabilities, you need to read the documentation. And Copilot with $10 per month. for the business plan, $40, $60, and $19. You know, Cursor AI and Windsurf are very similar, but I prefer Cursor. You know, maybe I was just used to it. It's the first one that I have used, but still Windsurf is also very decent and excellent. There is not much differences between both. It's kind of a matter of taste. Even now the interface becomes almost identical. The only main small difference is how they deal with cascade code generation. Copilot, you know, it's the first one that I have used before. It's very good for, you know, if you just want to get started, you can get started with Copilot for auto-completion. But if you want to do advanced things, I do recommend Cursor AI or Windsurf. So Cursor is the most mature with better context awareness and project-wide intelligence. Windsurf offers a polished UI, excellent real-time collaboration feature, but now they are very, very close to each other. And GitHub Copilot excels at quick suggestion and support the widest range of IDE. So now what is the future? Will AI replace software engineering? This is our question. Okay, I would say that AI will not replace software engineer because we still need the human touch, but the software engineer need to adapt with AI to boost their productivity and have a wider acceptance into the market. Because we need to have AI augmented development. This is a requirement from the industry. There is a need to shift from writing to reviewing. Now, instead of writing code, you know, you don't need to memorize the code. I work with Python, with different programming languages. You know, I hardly memorize all the different syntax, but I know how to write the syntax. Now, instead of looking for a sample code, making copy-paste, adapting this, writing the code, now let the AI generate and write the code for you and just review it. You use your conceptual skills in programming to review the code and adapt it and make sure that it adapts to your intention and to your requirement. It's domain-specific AI models for defense, healthcare, this type of critical sectors. We need to be very careful when we use AI because there are also some regulations, there are some legal issues. For example, in defense sector, maybe you are not allowed to disclose the code. And this is why you can have large language models specialized for coding locally installed on your computer. I mean, if you work in a safety critical industry like the defense or the healthcare, you can use local LLMs, okay, with VS Code, Copilot, or LLM Studio to use them as an alternative for commercial large language model for coding. And you need to have an increased expertise in debugging AI outputs. This is what you need to spend a lot of time in, generating output with AI, and then spend time to read, review, and debug this AI output. And when we become proficient in prompt engineering, you know, we'll spend less time even in reviewing and less time in debugging. So the education and workforce, there is an immersive need and emergent need for the universities to develop curriculum about how to integrate AI tools in software engineering. I didn't see much university doing this. I do hope that we in MAST will be one of the first universities, also other universities, to integrate this into the curriculums. This is really crucial. This is really important. It's the future. We should not overlook this at this time. We should not just wait the others to do it for us to do it. We need to be the pioneers in doing that in any university, in anyone that is listening to my talk right now, from any university. We need to define new workflows, new prompt engineering skills, and non-adopters will fall behind. Either they are academia or they are software development companies if they don't adapt very quickly to these AI assisting platforms. Traditional integration, so AI embedded into DevOps with CI/CD pipelines. Now with AI you can do a full DevOps pipeline. Traditional best practices remain also essential, but they will be augmented and increase the efficiency with artificial intelligence. Okay, so let me skip this. So at the end, we need to have a good partnership between human and AI. Okay, we should consider AI as a helper, as an assistant, is where human and AI working together as a trustworthy partner and collaborator. We have human in the loop to review the code generated by AI to increase the efficiency and make sure that it responds to our intent and our objectives. Shifting the roles, the engineer should not focus on writing code. They should focus on decomposing a problem, reviewing the code generated by AI, and ensuring the quality of the code that is generated. And expertise validation, human expertise becomes more important, not less, especially for validating AI output. And all these partnership comes to the two important skills I talked about: prompt engineering and also mastering the conceptual programming principles. So AI plus engineer is basically the future. Everything is based on having good prompt engineering skills, deep understanding of how large language model works, and also great foundation in programming fundamentals. So all of these together combined will lead to having supercharged software engineers. So the winning formula, prompt engineering plus programming fundamentals, is supercharged software engineers. This is what we look for the future for the industry, is to how to leverage AI effectively. Treat AI as a copilot, not as a replacement, not as an enemy. Okay? Have a continuous improved prompt engineering skills and validate the output generated by AI, and focus on the big picture and the architecture and innovation rather on the fine-grained details of coding. Okay, so with this I come to the end of my presentation, and I will be very happy to have questions or interactive discussion. نعم. نعم، الله يبارك فيك. والله هو شوف تو معناها التوجه في استخدام الاي اي في معناها الكروس سيكتورز اصبح مهم جدا. اللي ننصح به الجميع هو انه في اي مجال تعمل فيه حاول تشوف شنو هما الاستخدامات نتاع الاي اي وحاول انك تتخصص فيها. مثلا في مجالات البرمجه تكلمت الان على التكنيكال سيبورت، طبعا الان ما عادش نحتاجوا تكنيكال سيبورت. تكنيكال سيبورت اللي مثلا قبل كان يصير عن طريق اشخاص، الان نعمل تشات بوت مرتبط بالال ام، نجيب كل الدوكيومنتاسيون تاع اي شركه ونعمل ريتريفل اوجمانتد جينيريشن، ونجم نجاوب على اي سؤال خاص بالشركه في ثواني ب almost no money no time. فلذلك مثل هذه الاعمال الان is gonna disappear sooner or later مع الوقت على حسب الاويرنس للشركات للتطبيقات. فلذلك as an alternative لازم كل شخص يثقف روحه في المجال اللي يشتغل فيه في كيفيه استخدام الجينيريتيف اي اي وشنو هما التولز المتاحه، بحيث يصبح لما تصبح انت اكسبرت، خاطر الاي اي مش باش يخدم وحده، لازم شكون يخدمه، فانت تولي من الاشخاص عندك اكسبرتيز باش تتعامل مع التولز هذوما باش تنجم تفيد بها الشركات. خاطر الشركات لازمهم شخص يشتغل مثلا تخدم في الماركتينج، قبل كنت تكتب كل شيء وحدك وتلوج وكل، لا الان ثم تولز يخدموا بالاي اي بالماركتينج، يعملوا لك بوست يدخلوا على لينكد ان بضغطه زر واحده يعدي على 4-5 سوشيال نتورك بطريقه احترافيه. فاذا كنت تخدم في الماركتينج بطريقه تقليديه هذا ما عادش باش ينفع. فلما تتعلم التولز هذوما باش تجيك شركه تقول لك انت تعرف تخدم بالاي اي في الموضوع هذا، تقول لا ايه نعرف وانا خدمت على البلاتفورم هذه، البلاتفورم هذه تنجم تخدم. كيما تو يجيوني مثلا الناس مثلا باش يخدموا معنا سوفت وير ديفلوبمنت، اول سؤال نساله شنو هما التولز نتاع الاي اي في الديفلوبمنت؟ اول حاجه نقول لهم ما نحبكش تبرمج بيدك، لازمك تخدم بالاي اي، خاطر باش يوفر وقت باش يتعلم برشا حوايج لما يبرمج بالاي اي. اصلا انا the fact that you chat with your code you're gonna learn the mistakes. صحيح قبل كانت الناس تمشي وتشوف ستاك اوفر فلو، لكن this takes time. الان ستاك اوفر فلو كل موجود في الاي اي، موجود في الكلاود، موجود في الاوبن اي اي، كلهم تعلموا على ستاك اوفر فلو. there is no need just you lose time to look for information is there. لكن how to deal with this information, this is the prompt engineering skills. فلذلك اي مجال تشتغل فيه مهما كان، برمجه، كودينج، قضاء، اي شيء كله يستطيع الدخل فيه الاي اي. تفضل مثال. عندي وقت سي خليل حتى نصف ساعة اللي تحبوا، حتى نصف ساعة 40 دقيقة موجود مثال يعني. والله شوف، augmented generation. تحبش نعمل لكم ديمو بسيط على كيفاش تنجم تستخدم تشات جي بي تي مثلا من غير حتى كودينج سكيلز. خليني فقط ندخل على تشات جي بي تي مثلا. انا there are many things that I try to do حتى بالتشات جي بي تي. هذا ما نحكيوش مثلا I develop an application ولا يعني مثلا خدمة العملاء مثلا أحد الشركات في تونس باكو موتور أصدقائنا وسي أبو بكر السيالة. ف this is a simple application that we did يعني. لكن يمكن الآن غيرت بعض الأشياء بالباكند، لكن هذه الابليكيشن الآن ممكن تجاوب على أي معلومة خاصة بالباكو موتور كأسيستنس، وجربوها واعتمدوها الآن. في التشات جي بي تي ثم ما يسمى بالكاستم جي بي تي مودلز. واضحة. الكاستم جي بي تي مودلز هذوما مثلا هنا I'm going to explore there are many GPTs. هذوما جي بي تيز مكتوبة من أشخاص آخرين، لكن you can create your own GPT model here. هذوما many GPTs that I write for myself. خليني نشوف مثلا let me check كولاب مثلا، ماركاب هيلبر مثلا. هذا مثلا نعمله باش يخرج لي نص يحوله لي الكولاب ماركاب. مثلا نعمل ساعات جوجل كولاب، نستعمل هذايا باش يحول لي نص عادي الى نص على جوجل كولاب. هذا مثلا متخصص في حاجه معينه. هذا مثلا متخصص في كتابه باللاتيك رايتر. خلينا نشوف ثم شي اشياء اللي عملتها. هذا مثلا متخصص في الدوكيومنتاسيون تاع اللانجويج. نساله على اي حاجه مثلا I want to develop مثلا a Python script with OpenAI using LangChain. هذا الان شو يعمل؟ يدخل على الدوكيومنتاسيون تاع اللانجويج، شوف قاعد يعمل سيرشينج باي نولج، وبعدين يجي يكتب لي الكود حسب الطريقه الموجوده في اللانجويج. فالان بالطريقه العاديه ايش تعمل؟ تجي لهنا وتعمل LangChain OpenAI تشات بوت، وتدخل وتجيك وحيد سبونسر، وهذا التوتوريال الاول وهذا التوتوريال الثاني، وتحل هذه وتحل هذه، وتقعد تشوف وتقرا هوني. بينما هذا الكل اللي مش يخلي مثلا ربع ساعه نصف ساعه، خلاني فقط انا 30 seconds. علاش؟ خاطر هذا الشات بوت اللي عاملينه هنا دخلنا له المعلومات نتاع اللانجويج، ولا يعرف كيفاش يعمل ديبندنسي، كيفاش يجيب الامبورتس. فشوف مثلا هذه في تاش واحده كيفاش تنجم تربح برشا وقت. اي شيء مثلا تحب تعمل كاستم جي بي تي واحد اخر، ممكن نعمله كاستم جي بي تي خاص مثلا بماست يونيفرسيتي. اذا نعمله كرييت نيو جي بي تي، قول له والله مثلا I want to make a chatbot for طبعا this is a paid version. هم الاوبن اي عاملينها $20 to make a chatbot for Mast University. وخلينا نجيبه مثلا mastuniversity.tn، نجيبه لهنا نعطيه الرابط. اوكي. any question outside scope of Mast University, say it is out of scope, and for any question you must search the website and bring information from there. Okay, if you cannot find the information related to the question, say I do not know. هذا الآن برون صغير يعني على السريع. هذا it will create a chat GPT خاص بالكونتكست هذا فقط. الآن أنا باش نعمل تكنيكال سيبورت في 5 دقائق الماست يونيفرسيتي على الشات جي بي تي. بسيط جدا. وتو نسألوهم بعد، تو نسأله هو وتو نسأل من بعد شات جي بي تي العادي. تو لقات شات جي بي تي العادي ما يعرفش يفسر. هنا عندك كونفيجريشن، وكا جا كتب عطى الانستراكشن انت خاص بالتشات جي بي تي في اليونيفرسيتي هذا، اذا كان ثم حاجه له كذا. وعندك هنا كابابيليتيز باش تقول له يعمل ويب سيرش. طبعا لازم يفتح الويب سيرش باش كي نسال سؤال يمشي يلوج قبل، ما يجيبليش من المعلومات اللي مخزنه عنده، خاطر هو يمكن ما تدربش بالمعلومات اللي موجوده في الماست يونيفرسيتي. الان اذا كان عجبني الموضوع ممكن نقول له مثلا ماست university assistant. اوكي university assistant university assistant. خلاص الآن عندنا كل شيء. I will create. اوكي خليه هنا anyone with a link. What are the tuition fees؟ ده اوكي خلينا نجرب نسألوه الآن what are the master courses in math university. كي نسأل السؤال هذا باش يمشي يلوج في الانترنت، يبحث في الموقع، يجيب لنا الماستر كورسز الموجودين. اوكي جاب الماستر كورس ان داتا ساينس ويعطيك الرابط ايضا. الان سي خليل عندنا اسيستنت خاص عملنا في 5 دقائق كما نقولوا بيضحكوا اللعب يعني. فهمت؟ فشوفوا الان هذا مثلا لو فرضنا عندك كول سنتر كامل باش يجاوب على الاشخاص، ممكن تختصر في عوض توظف 20 شخص تولي توظف واحد فقط، ممكن حتى باش تشوف شنو ما الاسئله اللي تسالت وكل. فهمت؟ فمثل هذه الاشياء اصبحت كوموديتي الان، لكن دور المؤسسات والشركات ان تتاقلم معها بسرعه to improve the quality, to improve the efficiency, to reduce the cost and to save the time. صحيح طبعا. هذا النو هاو اللي قلنا ليه. Okay. So I think the first question, if I understand it well, it could be summarized about the education اللي هو كيفاش يمكن نستعمل AI في الإديوكيشن سواء كان في الفيزيكس في الماث في الأشياء مثل هذا. كلامي صحيح سي حبيبة؟ السؤال الأول نعم أي نعم أي الآن مع النو هاو الموجود الشامل في اللارج لانجوج موديل يمكن يختصر عليك وقت كثير. أنا شخصيا يختصر علي وقت كثير في تحضير المحاضرات، في إيجاد المعلومات بطريقة دقيقة وبالطريقة اللي نحبها أنا. خاطر تو تمشي المصادر سواء تكست بوك ولا بلوجز ولا واتيفر مش تلقى معلومات كثيرة ولازمك أنت تخليها بالطريقة اللي تحبها. الآن اللارج لانجوج موديل يجيب لك المعلومة ويجيب لك طريقة عرض الاثنين مع بعض. طبعا يبقى ليك كما قلنا في الكوديك لازمك تثبت، ثم شي هالوسينيشن ثم شي اخطاء خاطر انت مسؤول على الكونتنت، لكن يريحك كثير في مساله تحضير الكورس. وعندنا ايضا استخدامه اللي نستخدم فيه اللي في التصحيح الاختبارات للطلبه، وان شاء الله هذه مبادره باش نعملوها مع سي خليل في ماست ايضا، استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي لتصحيح الاختبارات. عندي الان منصه تستطيع صحح الاختبارات حتى الكتابيه حتى البرمجيه وبتصحيح دقيق جدا، يعني بطريقة chain of thoughts، ويعطيك explanation للجريد وتستطيع تصحح عن طريق ريبريكس معينة ولا تعطي تصحيح مفتوح. وهذه الطريقة ساعدتني نعطي أكثر activities للطلبة للسيلف assessment. الطالب لازمك تدربه قبل ما تعمل له اختبار، مثلا الميد تيرم 1 ولا الميجر 1 لازم يتدرب. طبعا إذا كان عندك 40 ولا 50 طالب ما تستطيعش كل نهار تعطيه وتقعد تصلح أنت وتعطيه فيدباك، that consumes time. لكن مع الاي اي الان تعطيه اسئله يجاوب عليها، تعمل جريد بالاي اي، كل طالب يجيه ايميل كاستم ايميل بيرسونلايزد فيدباك على الاسئله اللي سالهم وطريقه تصحيحها وكيفاش ينجم يحسن. فمثل هذه الاشياء تحسن في طريقه التعلم، تحسن في طريقه التعليم، الاثنين مع بعض. السؤال الثاني اللي قلته الان اللارج لانجوج مودلز دربت في اماكن ثانيه، هذا صحيح، لكن احنا الان ما عادش نستعمل نماذج لغويه كمصدر معلومات في الاشياء اللي هي فيري سبيسيفيك، نستعملوها فقط مصدر لكتابه النصوص. المعلومات هناك طريقتين الان للتكيف، طريقة الفاين تيونينج هو أن نجي ندربه فقط على معناها ناخذ مثلا اوبن اي اي ولا ناخذ ديب سيك ونعمل له فاين تيونينج على المعلومات الخاصة بتونس، خلاص عبارة عملنا له دمغجة أنه يولي يفكر بنفس الطريقة على المعلومات اللي احنا دربنا عليها. المعلومات الجديدة باش تفسخ نوعا ما ولا تخليه ينسى المعلومات القديمة ويركز على الجديد. الطريقة الثانية المعمول بها أكثر الآن في الاندستري مثل ما عملت الآن التشات بوت للماست تسمى ريتريفل اوجمانتد جنريشن، نجيبوا مصادر معلومات ولما تسأل سؤال نعمل بحث في مصادر المعلومات اللي عندها علاقة بالسؤال ويأوجمانت الكويري بالكونتكست نتاع البحث ونرسل اللانجويج موديل لصياغة السؤال لصياغة الإجابة. الله يبارك فيك. الله يبارك فيك. هاي. الله يبارك فيك. التو سكيلز اللي انا عملت 5 سكيلز في السلايدات ولخصتهم في 2. اول شيء البرومبت انجينيرنج، يعني لازم تتعامل دائما مع الاي اي في كل شيء عنده علاقه بالبرمجه، وكل مره يفتح عليك شيء معين، فهمت، تكتشف اشياء جديده، تولز جديده وكل. الثاني حاجه لازمك تركز كثير على تعلم البست براكتسز والكونسبتس نتاع البرمجه خاصه على البرودكشن ليفل. احنا في الجامعات ونقولها نعلموا الطلبه كيفاش يبرمج، لكن ما نعلموش كيفاش يعمل برودكشن ليفل بروجرام. يتعلمها في كورسات مختلفه لكن ما عندوش ايكو سيستم كامل، انه كيفاش ننظم البروجكت، كيفاش نخليه ويل ستراكتشرد، كيفاش نعمل له ديبلويمنت، كيفاش نعمل اوتوميتد تيستينج في بروجكت. طبعا هذا نعملوهم احنا في كورس بروجكت وكل، لكن لازمنا نركزوا عليهم باستخدام الجينيراتيف اي اي، على خاطر الاشياء اللي ممكن الجينيراتيف اي ممكن ينشأها تكون اكثر دقه وتخلي الانسان يتعرف على البست براكتسز هذه بطريقه ممكن في طريقه قياسيه في وقت قياسي. فاللي تركزوا عليه الان باختصار البرومبت انجينيرنج، الادوبشن اوف اي اي كودينج اسيستنس مثل كورسر اي اي والوين سيرف ولا الكوبايلوت، وايضا التعمق في الفاندامنتال كونسبتس للبروجرامينج والسوفت وير انجينيرنج. هذول الثلاثه مع بعض when combined you can be the supercharged software engineers اللي تكلمنا عليه في آخر المحاضرة. والله شوف، هذه ممكن تكون عندها إيجابيات وسلبيات على حسب الهدف. إذا أنت الآن في مرحلة تعلم، في مرحلة التعلم إذا باش تستعمل تشات جي بي تي ما يكونش من الأول، لازمك تخدم بنفسك بالورقة والستيلو ولا باليد، وبعد ممكن تستعمل تشات جي بي تي للتصحيح ولا للتعليم. أما إذا كان من الأول كل شيء نمشي للتشات جي بي تي رايت أواي، هذا ممكن يكون تعمله في الاندستري من بعد. لازمك تخلص مرحلة التعلم، لذلك السكيلز اللي أنا ركزت عليها لازم يكون عندك الفاونديشنال كونسبتس. إذا كان ذهنك ما تدربش على حل المسائل ما عادش. احنا الحمد لله، أنا نقول الحمد لله جينا الاي اي بعد ما عدينا فترة زمنية نتعلمه بأنفسنا، فالآن الاي اي يكون عليا سهل، ما عنديش إشكال أنه مش يكون عندي اوفر ريلاينس لأنه سكيلز أخذناها في المستقبل. لكن أنتم الآن في مرحلة التعلم إذا كان ما تاخذوش ستيب ليرنينج كيرف، ما تمروش بالمرحلة الشاقة نتاع التعلم، ترى الاي اي ما يفيدكش من بعد، خاطر باش تقعد عندك نقص في السكيلز الثانية اللي هي الفاندامنتال كونسبتس، واللي بدونها ما تستطيعش تستخدم الاي اي to the best extent. فلذلك استخدم الاي اي بعد ما تمر بمرحلة التعلم في اي شيء. الله يبارك فيك، مرحبا بك. والله شوف as a student، شوف إذا كانك الآن تحكي مثلا تاخذ في كورس برمجة وتحب تستعمل AI assistant tools، أنا أقول لك لا، لازمك تبرمج مانيولي. إذا كان الآن تخدم مثلا في senior project ولا capstone project تعلمت and you want to use these AI assistance tools to speed up the productivity و to learn the best practices، أقول لك نعم استعمله. فهمت؟ فعلى حسب الكونتكست. وهذا يلخص إجابتي السابقة، أنه إذا أنت في مرحلة تعلم ما تستعجلش استخدام الاي اي. انا اقول لك اخدم بطريقتك الشخصيه، بعد ما تكمل خدمتك تمشي جرب تخدم بالاي اي وتقارن اللي خدمته انت بالاي اي. عباره لا اعطاك سولوشن، عباره على ذاك استاذ استعملته انت ككوبايلوت ولا كو تيتشر، تقول له انا هذه السولوشن اللي عملتها صلحها لي، مثلا شنو ما الاخطاء اللي عملتهم، شنو ما البيست براكتسز المفروض اني عملتهم في المشروع هذا كيفاش نستعمل الاي اي في مرحله التعلم. نخدم انا وبعد نستعمل الاي اي باش يصلح لي، باش يحسنني في المهارات. فنكون انا وكيفاش التعلم يصير، لازمك تخطئ وبعد تعرف الخطا نتاعك باش تتعلم. فممكن تستخدم الاي اي باش تساله شنو ما الاخطاء اللي انا عملتهم وكيفاش نجم نصلح في المستقبل. اما اذا كان تاخذ السؤال اللي يعطيه لك الاستاذ وتخليه في تشات جي بي تي، طبعا يعرف يجاوب هو. فهمت؟ انا لما ندرس عندي اي اي يوتيلايزيشن جايد لاينز في كل في البروجكت. ففي البروجكت مثلا نجي في بعض البروجكت نسمح للطلاب، في بعض الاحيان نسمح لهم يعملوا كل شيء. تلقى الكود في حد ذاته اتس نوت، ما هوش الهدف من التقييم. نقول له اكتب اي كود بالتشات جي بي تي، مثلا داتا ساينس، والله اي كير اباوت هاو يو انالايز يور داتا، مثلا اي دونت كير اباوت هاو يو رايت يور كود. لكن مثلا في برمجه لما درست الاوبجكت اورينتد بروجرامينج قلت لهم ممنوع استخدام الاي اي تو جينيريت كود، لكن ممكن تستخدمه تو ديباج باش تعمل دوكيومنتيشن، باش تبحث على معلومه. فتحدد لهم اساليب الاستخدام على حسب الهدف من الاسسمنت. فلذلك دائما لازم، وهذا ايش معناه يكون عندنا جفرنس في استخدام الاي اي، انه نستخدمه بطريقه يفيدنا مش بطريقه انه تسيء الينا. قد الان تعتقد انه يفيد فيك، لكن اذا كان ما يخليكش تتعلم in the long run ما تستفيدش كما ينبغي. فهمت؟ نعم. اللي نشوفه هنا في الموضوع هذا موضوع مهم جدا. اللي نشوفه أول حاجة المسؤولية متاع الأستاذ هو تحديد ضوابط استخدام الاي اي في كل كورس. كل كورس عنده أحكامه، وكل اسسمنت وعنده أحكامه، وهذه الطريقة اعتمدتها مع الطلاب الحمد لله كانت ناجحة. يعني أنا مثلا لما أعطيت البرمجة 2 اختبارات، في طلاب أخذوا درجات سيئة جدا وما استخدموش لها، لأنه يعرف لما يستخدم الاي اي سيتم اكتشافه، مش يكون ياخذ صفر. فلذلك لما تكون الضوابط محددة ويكون هناك awareness ويكون هناك تحديد ضوابط، أظن أنه أغلب الطلاب يستجيبوا للضوابط هذه. فدور الأستاذ أنه يعرف حدود ال AI contrasted مع الأسسمنت والاستراتيجية متاع الأسسمنت ويفسرها للطلاب. هذه الآن تعطيهم first an introduction to the use of AI into their curriculum. الطريقة هذه implicit. الطريقة الإكسبليسيت اللي نشوفها هو أنه يكون advanced course، ممكن يكون في السنة الثالثة ولا السنة الرابعة، اللي هو كورس كامل استخدام الاي اي فور سوفت وير انجينيرز. يبدا بالكودينج، يعلمهم البرومبت انجينيرنج في الكودينج، يعلمهم الاي اي بلاتفورمز، الكوبايلوت كيفاش يخدم، الديفرنسز بين ذم، الحدود، how to review an AI generated code, how to make production level code from code development للبرودكشن على السيرفر بالاي اي بطريقه تكون efficient. هذا لو كان نوصلوا نعملوا كورس بالطريقه هذه، يعني انا ناكد لك انه الطلاب هذم يتخطفوا من قبل التخرج. يعني there is a bad need for software engineer who are AI capable، وهذه very scarce resource الآن للأسف. فهمت؟ مع أنه الأمر أسهل من ما نتوقع، يعني it's just an integration of this، وبعدين يكون عندنا في الكابستون I don't look coding is not a target. الكودينج it's not a target, it's a mean to achieve to solve a problem. احنا we don't do coding for coding. we don't memorize code، لكن we do that to solve problems. فهي حبذا الطالب يعرف يستعمل الاي اي باش يبرمج مع الاصول اللي تعلمها باش يستطيع يحل المساله. خاطر الاندستري this is what they care about. They care about how they solve their problem quickly, less cost, more efficient. هذا اللي لازم نعلم عليه الطلاب خاصه المتخرجين. نعم. لا، الفكرة ممتازة، وهذا من يمكن يصيروا حتى في شكل ما يسمى بالهاكاثونز، أنه الهاكاثونز هذوما مسابقات ويعطيهم مشكلة معينة وخلاص وتكون المشكلة لازم تحلها بالاي اي. وانا متاكد ان الاوتبوت باش يكون مختلف، خاطر الكابابيلتيز اوف interacting with AI is going to be completely different. فهذه من افضل، انا اشوفها من افضل الممارسات، لان لما تتكرر هذه خلاص هي تعطيك نيتف، من طريقه نيتف للتعامل مع الاي اي. تصبح ما عادش تجد صعوبه في التعامل مع الاي اي لما you do a lot of practicing to solve a lot of problems. So this will become kind of native and quite easy to do it. وحنا والله تو الحمد لله، يعني علاش انا نقول حتى السوفت وير ريكويرمنت اللي نعملوه قبل واللي ياخذ اشهر في الاندستري، الان تجلس لو تعرف تعمل برومبت انجينيرنج تستطيع تعمل سوفت وير ريكويرمنت دوكيمنت، تخرج داتا بيس كامله، تسوي انيشال امبلمنتيشن ساعه ساعتين 3 ساعات حسب الكومبلكسيتي نتاع البروبلم. يعني نحكي لك على اشياء نتاع اشهر تعملها في جلسه. الريكويرمنت انجينيرنج ايش؟ يو ويل برين ستورم مع سم بيبل. الان الاي اي لو تعرف عند برومبت انجينيرنج تعطيه الكونتكست كامل، ات ويل برين ستورم فور يو ويخرج لك اشياء متكامله افضل من اللي تعملها with human interaction. هذا شيء مجرب، نتكلم عليه شيء مجرب. فلذلك الادوبشن اوف اي اي، وانا نشوف انه هناك تحدي حتى عندنا في الجامعات، كيف معناها نفصل مناهجنا to have the best efficiency باش الطالب يتعلم، لانه في منهجيه في التعامل مع الاي اي. يعني صحيح احنا تو نتكلم على اشياء بالممارسات، لكن لما تجي تعلم لازم تعطي منهجيه للممارسه هذه. فلازم نشوفوا احنا البست براكتسز في الممارسات هذه باش نرجعوها منهجيه للتعلم. هذا احد التحديات، ما فيش منهجيات واضحه الان. لو نقول لك انا عندي طريقتي في التعامل في الاي اي في الكودينج، غيري عندي طريقه اخرى، لكن لو نجلسوا ونتناقشوا ممكن نخرجوا منهجيه معتمده اللي تصبح ستاندر في التعليم. هذا احد التحديات الموجوده الان. صح. طبعا هذه كما نقولوا سنة من السنن في جميع الاندستري، اللي هي الريلكتنس اوف ادوبشن. الناس لما تتعود على ليجاسي معينة، حتى لو تجيب لها تقنية جديدة، يقول لك باش تغير لي طريقتي في العمل، انا مرتاح هكا. هذا this is the biggest challenge. لكن التشينج يجي بروجريسively، هي تبدا من نواة، والنواة هذيك تبدا تتطور. وانا شفت يعني نعرف حتى بعض زملاء يعني they are AI وما عندهمش كلير ادوبشن للاي اي ان ذير استراتيجي. ف ذاتس تشالنج. يعني صحيح الان هي مش تبدا تشالنج الاول على مستوى استراتيجيه الجامعه، ثم على مستوى اعضاء التدريس، لان اعضاء التدريس هم اللي باش ينقلوه للطلاب فيما بعد. فالتحدي الثاني هو كيف تهيئه اعضاء التدريس لتقبل هذا. يصير عن طريق دورات تدريبيه، يصير عن طريق اشياء اللي الظاهر انه I will save your time. يعوض الان باش تعمل الكليريكال وورك هذا اللي باش ياخذ لك معناها اوقات طويله جدا. الان with the AI if you master this learning curve you will save a lot of time in course development, in course assessment. انا مثلا I spend a lot of time developing البلاتفورم تاع الاسسمنت، ريحتني كثير. يعني الان انا I can provide timely feedback to all my students in just one click، يعني no matter where I am. فالوقت الانفستمنت اللي نعملوه لتعلم التقنيه الطرف الاخير يرجع لنا بالفائده. احنا ويخلي الاستاذ يفهم، حتى الاي اي تساعدك باش تفهم بعض الاشياء كونسيبت بطريقه اعمق. يعني انا بعض لما نجي ندرس اشياء تلقى فيها الكونسيبت تلقاك فاهمه، لكن تقول انا كيفاش باش نفسره للطالب؟ الطالب ما عندوش نفس الباك جراوند اللي عندي باش نفسر له شيء في الديب ليرنينج والنيور نتورك عنده علاقه بالبروبابيلتي والستاتستكس. فتجي للاي اي تقول له انا والله نحب نفسر هذا للطلبه بطريقه سهله، يعطيك انسايتس لو تقعد تفكر فيها انت بنفسك ما تكتشفهاش. If we can automate a tool and probably I'm going to say something يمكن مرة نصرح به. احنا الآن we are developing a platform اللي هي education management system 100% AI oriented. شفتك الشغل اللي نعملوه في السيلابس والكورس ديسكريبشنز والاكريديتيشن وش ياخذ لنا وقتها. It will be fully AI oriented. إن شاء الله this is something that's going to happen soon، لأنه هذا شيء خارج من الإشكاليات اللي أنا نعيشها شخصيا كأستاذ. لما يجي شخص يقول لك نحب نعمل الكريكولم هذا وشوف لي هذا الكورس ليرنينج اوت كامز والمابينج مع البروجرام، it takes a long time and most of the time is not accurate. طيب علاش ما نستعملوش الاي اي يعطيني اشياء ادق واسرع؟ فهمني سي خليله. ف صح صح صح. اكيد. نعم. مرحبا مرحبا. والله حسب الباك جراوند اللي عندك. اذا كان الباك جراوند تكنيكال يسمح لك تفهم العمق، ترى فاهم العمق جيد، فهمت. اما اذا كان فقط انت تريد الاستخدام from business perspective، تستطيع فقط تفهم التولز اصلا معناها they are built to facilitate to promote. ف combining both is the best approach to have a hybrid approach، انك تتعلم العمق وتستخدم التطبيقات. لكن في الاخير you focus on your direct اهتماماتك، يعني دايركت انترست ان شاء الله. ايه. نعم نعم. ايه مثلا. والله AI and focusing, I think they are completely opposite. AI is something, حتى if you keep up to date at daily basis, you cannot focus on anything لأنه it's pervasive. It's entering every field. الآن if you want to focus, you need to focus على الأشياء اللي هم directly related to your interest, سواء في البزنس أو في الإديوكيشن أو في الأعمال اللي تريد القيام بها. لأنه الاي اي انفجر انفجار عظيم جدا، سواء في النماذج اللغويه باللغات مختلفه ب different capabilities different tools integrated. حتى الان يمكن احنا في مرحله فوضى الاي اي. فوضى الاي اي الان ماهيش مرتبه، لكن هو شيء جيد لانه فيه big exchange of knowledge, big exchange of information بطريقه معناها كبيره. الان اللي نشوفه كيف ما نقولش maybe not how to focus but how to leverage AI. لازم نشوفوا الاشياء اللي تاخذ لنا وقت، اللي تكلفنا فلوس، اللي الافشنسي فيها اقل، ونفكر كيفاش نستطيع نستخدم الاي اي تو امبروف ذس. اذا يعود بالنفع على الافراد وعلى المجتمع بصفه خاصه. فاذا كان مش نركزوا على شيء، ممكن we need to focus on how we can leverage AI technologies in transforming business processes, in reducing cost and improving efficiency. هذا اللي نشوفه يعني. yeah okay. yes yes it's agent based large language models. الايجنتس، والان اصبحنا ما عادش نتكلموا على agentic workflow اللي هما they can do complete pipelines very complex tasks. فالليتست ترند الان في الاندستري is how to use agent in order to perform complex tasks. والايجنت هما عباره عن large language model يتعاملوا مع العالم الخارجي. يمكن يكون عندك search agent، يمكن يكون عندك retrieval agent، يمكن يكون عندك ما اعرف شنو complex operation agents. فهذوما الايجنتس يستطيعوا الدخول على مصادر معلومات والتعامل معها بطريقه very complex to achieve complex tasks باستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي التوليدي اللي هو large language models. فاللارج language model هو يكون عباره على وقود مع الايجنتس هذوما للقيام ب very complex transactions، مش فقط بالاعتماد على النموذج اللغوي فحسب، لكن على تعاون متكامل ما بين وكلاء، ما بين different type of agents. فالمستقبل الآن في اللارج لانجوج موديل هو في الايجنتس، لأنه النماذج اللغوية أصبحت مطروحة الآن. معناها ممكن there is a need باش نطوروا نماذج لغوية محلية مثلا في الدول العربية، ولا مثلا في تونس نطوروا نماذج لغوية سيادية. والحمد لله الآن بدأوا هما في مركز الخوارزمي المرة الماضية لما حضرت أحد المؤتمرات في برنامج علم هذا اللي طوروا فيه نموذج مبني على لاما 3، لكن كله عن طريق بيانات تونسية ومخزن في سيرفرات في تونس. هذا أمر طيب. لكن الآن مثلا على مصادر الترندز الموجودة في الذكاء الاصطناعي التوليدي هي متعلقة باللارج لانجوج موديل ايجنتس. الله يبارك فيك. الله يبارك فيك سي خليل. أول حاجة والله أنا سعيد جدا بتقديم المحاضرة اليوم بالنقاش مع الأخوة الأفاضل والطلبة، وإن شاء الله نكون قدمنا إضافة في الموضوع. الشيء الأخير معنا أريد توجيه كل طلاب السوفت وير انجينيرينج أن يركزوا على تعلم التولز هذوما والبلاتفورمز. try to invest in this في many YouTube tutorial videos، في many free certifications opportunities، لأنه this is the future. الجامعة دائما تعطينا الفاونديشن، تعطينا الجراوند، تعطينا الأسس، لكن لازم الأسس نبنيه فوقها الإطار اللي تحتاجه التقنية في الاندستري. وبارك الله فيكم جميعا، وإن شاء الله في فرصة قادمة بإذن الله. الله يجزاكم الله. بإذن الله. حياكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. حياكم الله. السلام عايشة. الله يبارك فيك. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. السلام ورحمة الله. السلام. عايشة. حياكم الله. السلام.